Here we go. This is the Revolve part wheel. So in SolidWorks, when we want to create parts that have some sort of axial symmetry, we will use the Revolve feature. So for this, for those of you that have already taken a look, you may have seen the Revolve part wheel of, or the second Revolve part, which is just an edit to this particular drawing here. This model that we're going to create here, we're going to utilize variables in the development of this final part. And here we go. So the first thing that we're going to do is start a brand new part. Again, on this, I can choose the front or the right plane to develop the part. I'm going to use the front for this particular scenario. And we're going to start with using some center lines in order to lay out the horizontal and vertical dimensions of our part. And we're also going to change our dimensions to millimeters, or mmgs. So I will come here and edit my sketch, and now I can create the overall profile of the part. If I take a look here, this gives me what the overall geometry will look like. Notice that these hatch lines that you see here represent a solid. In other words, this is going to be a hollowed out part that has a thickness of 7 millimeters. If we start on the outside of the part and work our way around, notice that there should be a vertical line, an angled line, a vertical line, an angled line, and then of course our curve. It turns out, if you take a look real quick at this line here, this is a center line for the circle, which represents that this is going to be a semicircle or a half of a circle compared to a full circle. So we'll head back into the part and we're going to create this quickly. So again, starting here at the exterior of the part on the horizontal side, we're just going to create a vertical line, angled line, vertical line, angled line, and then we're going to go ahead and create an arc. By default, SolidWorks is going to add a tangent relationship. We don't want that tangent relationship, so we're going to click and delete it. But we do want the center and the vertices to be all horizontal. The part should look similar to this. Last part we want to do is make sure that this part of the center line is coincident with the circle. This allows us to create the overall geometry. If I hold shift and select the at least close to the top of the circle, then I can head downward and I can select or dimension the entire part. Yes, I would like to create a variable. I'll make that 210. I'm going to explain that again as I go through and demonstrate how to create the variables. So when we add dimensions, we use Smart Dimension. If we choose the center line, we can choose a center line and a line that is parallel, and we can either use the dimension between, or if we come on the opposite side of the center line, we can show the symmetry dimension. For the purposes of this, and in this part, this is actually going to be here. And if we want to create a variable, we immediately just say equals, and in quotes, we put whatever the name is. For the purposes of this and coordinating with the actual drawing that is listed, A is the variable that we would like to put. So we'll go ahead and set this to 50 millimeters. We're going to use 50 again for this. Notice that instead of on this side, we want to go across. It's going to be the thickness. So we'll do equals A. Good. This angle here is going to be 15 degrees. I clicked the wrong one, so let's delete that. There we go, 15 degrees. This here is going to be 25. Oh, I don't know what I just did there. Well, I'm going to delete all that. 25. And then for here, this is B. B is actually going to be across. It's going to be across the whole part. So if we click the point and the center line, it allows us to do the same thing. So we're going to create this dimension, and it turns out that B is listed as 20. So we'll say equals B and change this to 20. Notice that we declare the variable first and then we assign the dimension, and if we press enter or the green check, it will then assign that dimension to the variable listed. Last part we have a C. This is 30 units, so we're going to go ahead and dimension this to be equal to C and then change it to 30. Alright, we have a fully defined part here, but we don't have it complete, so we are going to click the lines that we would like to copy along with the mirror line, which has to be a center line in order for this to work, and then we will go ahead and click mirror. Notice it creates the mirrored section. If we right click on any one of these lines and click select chain, it selects everything that's in contact. This allows us to do an offset entities, and then we can set this to 7, not 78, and reverse that inward. Once we press the green check, we can then close off our model. If it shows a blue or a solid color on the inside of the sketch, it usually means that it's closed. So we're going to go ahead and use this closed sketch to revolve around that horizontal center line, and we end up with what the part looks like. You may say, well, what about these R5s? This is going to be a radius fillet that we're going to add to the feature level. So instead of 4, we only need to add 2. We'll go ahead and click fillet and enter this to be 5, and then we can click on the edge and notice that it populates all the way around the part. So if we were to look at this from a section view, we would see one fillet here and one fillet here, and if you add them up, that's where the 4 comes from. The last part that we want to do is we want to add to here the 5 holes. So we're just going to do one hole at C units away from the center at 10 millimeter diameter, and then we're going to cut it through. So when we do this, we go ahead and just create this circle, and if you'd like to create a center line you can, but we're just going to create the dimension to be equal to C. And then we're going to make sure that this is vertical to the origin. And the last part we want to add is the 10 millimeter diameter. And go to Features, Extrude Cut. And we'll make sure it goes through all. You can see a preview of it. Press the check. And now that we have this, we can do the cut extrude, and we can create a circular pattern around this. And we can select 5, since that's how many are here. And if we apply whatever material is, I believe I had brass for this one, but whatever material for this particular part, and then you could of course evaluate and check the mass properties. And you should get 508, 506 if you did this correctly. So again, this is what the part looks like. I hope this was helpful.